Well, hello there and welcome to the channel. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about those 5 mistakes that you'll wish to avoid when it comes to growing Japanese maples. Now, before we start, let's make sure we're all talking about the same thing. So we're talking about your Japanese maples, which is your Acer Palmatum and all its huge hundreds, thousands of cultivars that have been produced by Japanese gardens over the last 2 to 3 centuries. Palmatum, because it is palm shaped, it's got the 5 lobes, and this plant is a native to Korea, China, Japan, a huge area, and it is found as an understory plant in woodlands, and that will give you at least a big clue as to how to look after these. So let's get started. Let's start off with the first mistake that you will wish to avoid. All a bit squinty, so sunny today. Serious face on. I want to talk to you about sun scorch. Now, if you look at the Royal Horticultural Society's website, it will say Japanese acers will need to be planted in either full sun to semi-shade, but it is a little bit more complicated than that. To be fair, if you always stuck to dappled shade or semi-shade conditions, you shouldn't have any problems. Full shade is going to be a little bit too dark for them, so don't start putting your light coloured foliage in complete dark. It really won't do them any good. Now, your dark leaf varieties, like your big purple leaf varieties, they're going to need a certain amount of decent sunlight in order to get them to colour up. So putting them in full sun, but with protection from a overhead canopy during the hottest part, the brightest part of the day, will be absolutely perfect. However, those variegated forms, the white forms, the yellow forms, they are more prone to scorch, and I really would consider keeping those in dapple shade to semi-shade. Another thing, be aware of those palmate leaves that are finely dissected, because again, they are going to be more prone to scorching than those that aren't. So if in doubt, dapple shade to semi-shade all day long. But again, like those lovely big purple leaf plants like Ozakazuki, can't think of any others right at this minute, then give them a decent amount of sunlight in the morning and late afternoon. But if you can keep that direct sun off them at the hottest part of the day, then I think you've got it cracked. This next mistake is to do with your planting position, because Japanese acers do not like to be put in a position where they're exposed to strong winds. Furthermore, if you live on the south coast like we do, they're also particularly sensitive to being planted in maritime positions. They don't like the salt in the air, so they don't like strong winds, they don't like drying winds. Again, delicate leaves prone to scorching. I think scorching is going to be coming up a couple more times, especially at the end. I've got quite a serious problem that I want to spend a couple of minutes on there, because this is the big problem that we all tend to get bitten in the backside with. So drying winds, shelter position, just be very aware. They can be a bit sensitive. Just keep them out of those winds, especially in maritime positions. I do see people growing them around here and they're absolutely fine, but like I say, shelter is key. Like I say, it's a woodland plant. It's perfectly sheltered in its native habitat. As a rough estimate, you could probably say that almost half of all Japanese acers purchased are then grown on in a pot and the other half grown in the ground. And it's these pot ones that can be an issue. Now, in the native habitat, the soil the roots have evolved to grow in is reliably moist, free draining throughout the year. But as soon as you put your acer in a pot, that all changes, and this is where the mistake comes. Pots dry out very quickly. Small pots dry out faster than large pots. Porous pots like terracotta dry out much faster than glazed pots. It's a big issue. You're fighting the soil that your plant is growing in to prevent it from either being too wet or too dry. This is not reliably moist, a nice stable environment that it will enjoy. If it rains, it will never rain enough. It's always down to you to make sure that it is watered regularly and kept at a certain point. Now, if you're not sure when to water it, put your finger in the soil, and once the top 1.5 inches has dried out, then water, but don't let it become saturated. Don't let it become waterlogged. It's a big problem. If it gets too wet, then the root system can then become stressed and then prone to fungal infections. We'll talk about that in a minute. If it becomes too dry, then again the leaves will start to dry at the tips and it will show signs of scorch. It's a big problem. My recommendation is always plant it in the ground. It is so much better. And if you want a timing on that, plant them really at the in the autumn, and then it's got the entire winter to establish a decent root system. So come the spring, when the season kicks off and the weather warms up, the root ball is established. It is going to be nice and stable. You'll get a fantastic display. So pots, they're a problem. It's down to you to make sure they're growing well. But let's be honest with you, there is always that increased risk of scorch. And as soon as that damage is on your leaf, well, that's it until the end of the year. So it's best to try and avoid it as best as you can. Mistake number 4 is pruning. There's some pruning that I don't mind people doing. There's some pruning I really got a thing against. Now, when it comes to pruning, there's always a mantra. It's always a dead, disease, dying, or crossing wood. So we'll take that as read because that's just sensible. Now, you'll find also once your plants come out of the winter and you get your new growth emerging, you'll probably find a little bit of dieback. You can take those back too. Now, the reason why you've bought this plant, at least I'm going to pretend you've bought this plant, is because you love the ornamental structure of the foliage. I mean, there are some fantastic shapes, absolutely beautiful. But for some reason, I think the answer is this: you didn't do your research first and you bought the wrong Acer. There's a big selection. You have those lovely domed mushroom forms. I love those. And also you got your upright ones, which just as beautiful. Like I say, they can't help themselves but be absolutely stunning with regards to both their framework, their habit, the structure, the architecture. It's a wonderful plant. That's why people love them so much. But if in your mind you had this image of this like domed, semi-weeping kind of a plant, and then you bought a different one because you preferred the leaf shape and it's gone upright, and you decided what you will do is you'll cut it into a dome. Oh, that there should be laws about that. That is criminal neglect. It really grinds my bones. Just don't do it. As soon as you start cutting into that Acer wood like a little haircut, then you've ruined that shape. And every year you'll be cutting back to that ridiculous framework of sticks that you've just produced. If you ever want to cut into an Acer, you must do so sympathetically. Always take a cut to a, what is that word? There's a word I'm missing. I'm going to put it right there. Always cut to the edge of a limb. Where does the limb come out at? It's called a thing. You always cut to a thing. You always cut to that point. And that way, you haven't affected its ornamental look. You can grow out a new stem, and it'll be absolutely perfect looking. So you'll be sympathetically pruning. Just be very, very careful. I would really, unless you're tripping over a branch or it's slapping you in the face every time you walk past it, don't prune it. Best policy, avoid pruning it at all costs, apart from the dead disease design crossing branches. If you've got crossing branches, then you can damage the bark. You get wounds occurring, and you can get infections getting in there. So that all makes sense. So don't ruin your plants. Don't say, oh, I prefer it looking like that, because you're just justifying yourself buying the wrong one. Do your research first. If there's a particular shape you want, buy that shape. Don't buy another one. I have started running, cut to a fork. Honestly, my old brain, it takes time sometimes. Okay, so now we're getting on to number 5. Of course, there are plenty of other mistakes that can be made. I mean, one off the top of my head is when if you are going to plant it up in a pot, then they do tend to do better with a slightly acidic pH. It's not an ericaceous plant, they just do better. There are plenty of other mistakes that can be made, but I'm just doing 5. Yeah, if I wanted to do 10, I'd have done 10. So this is the 5th one. It's the biggest problem, and it's not even your mistake. It's the grower's mistake. There is a nasty, pernicious fungal disease that you see all too often on Japanese acers. It is commonly known as Acer dieback, but its proper name is verticillium wilt. I did it twice because it richly deserves it. To the uninitiated, verticillium wilt really does look like everyday scorch. But if you look closer, you can see a pattern. Now, it's a fungal disease. It gets into the vascular system. Typically, it's soil-borne. It comes in through the xylem, which is your water transporting tubes, and it releases spores and hyphae, which block those water transporting tubes within your Acer. You first start to see it on the leaves, where you get this characteristic patchwork of brown blotches where small amounts of the leaf has been blocked, and those sections that were fed by the water, they've dried out and died. So unlike say wind scorch, which will be affected on the edges of the leaves, or sun scorch, where you'll see like a yellowing off dead material at the top, these brown mottled sections of your leaf, that is a well-known sign that you have verticillium wilt. Now the problem is, there is no way that you can spray that with a fungicide and expect it to kill it off. It won't happen. Why is there so much of it? Because really, you will see it on so much of this cheap propagated material that comes into your supermarket or your garden centre, and it might look fine when it turns up, but let's be honest with you, it would have had a strong fungicide applied to it, which would have held back the movement of that fungus inside, but it doesn't kill it. And as soon as it's in the shop or in your garden, it will continue to grow. Fungus will also grow, and the signs of the infection will return really within a few days. It is a devastating thing. It will start off with the leaves, then you'll start finding small sections of stem will die back, then larger sections of stems. And in worst cases, you can see like half the branch work of an Acer has been completely destroyed. All you can do is, if you see it on your plant, is to cut back deeply into the branch work and remove it, and hopefully you've got out all of the infection. But really, it's a terrible, terrible plant to have. And the culprit, like I say, it's these giant industrial nurseries where they just propagate. They do not sterilize their blades, and any contaminated sap on those blades passes that infection on from plant to plant to plant. It is absolutely rife in the nursery. How did we get to this point? It's going to destroy these beautiful plants that we have. We've been growing them in this country really for the past 150 years. It is such a shame. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm sorry I ended on that rather sour note, but knowledge is power at the end of the day. And if you've got anything you'd like to add, you're more than welcome to do so. Just put that in the comment section. We genuinely would love to hear from you. And if you've got any great advice regarding mistakes you want to avoid with Acers, put that in. We have many people who like to read through the comments, including myself. Plus, it helps to get that information out there. I've spoken long enough. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we've created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description. You can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then Another one right there. And enjoy these while I've still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.